Hello, everyone. We are here today for an interesting interaction with a stalwart from the industry, Mr. Shankarraman. Mr. Shankar is the Director CEO of Link India and Aqua Global Logistics Groups, having offices in India and in the Middle East. Welcome, sir. And I, on behalf of the Business School of Logistics and Shipping, extend a very warm welcome to you. Good morning, sir.
Very good morning. Thank you very much for inviting me to be part of this conversation. And I'm truly humbled that you've chosen me to be partnering with BSLS.
Absolutely our pleasure indeed. Sir, to begin with, I would really like to know what Shankarraman sir really is. So can you tell us a little about your life story?
Well, I'm a logistician. I think it runs in my blood. I come from a family that's been in the shipping business from the early 50s when my grandfather started a very small shipping agency company in Calcutta, representing a few Pakistani owners. Over a period of time, the agency house grew with offices across many parts of India. My family moved to Mumbai in 71 because of political issues in West Bengal at that time. So I was brought up in Mumbai despite having been born in Calcutta. And over a period of time in the 80s, we had a fairly large presence in the break bulk and break bulk liner tramp vessel agency business across India. And I started my career early 84 when my father pushed me to, go to an early morning college and come into the office by 9 a.m. So I used to finish college from 6:30 to 9 and then, head out to supervise cargo operations in the port of Mumbai, the old port of Mumbai. I was mainly a break bulk port those days with semi-container ships that used to come in and load a few containers here and there. So my job was to kind of go to the ships that we were representing as agents and take the daily discharge figures or the loading figures and then go to the office, give the report, and then sit in the office and start learning how to type manifests, how to type bills of lading on a manual typewriter and, start releasing it. So so my career evolved like that. And then subsequently, I took a break from work to do a full-time MBA program in the SV Jain Institute of Management in Mumbai for 2 years. Luckily, I got a job abroad in Singapore and went to work for a shipping services group called Jardines, which was Hong Kong headquartered. And I worked in their shipping agency as well as the freight forwarding business. Started as a management trainee and ended up being responsible as a profit center head for the operations in Singapore, Thailand, and Vietnam. And in 92, I decided to come back to India and chose to settle down in Chennai because I thought that it was a better place than Mumbai in terms of lifestyle and quality of living. And I've been settled in Chennai since then.
Wow, sir, I must say, seldom do we come across people who have had a family background in shipping and logistics and are in the business continuing for 30 plus years. So it's truly an honor to be having you with us here today. So my next question would be, with such a vast experience that you've come with, I'm sure, and also having spent so many years in the industry, I'm sure you have witnessed the dynamics of the industry change over time. Like in different periods, it must have been really different. So, sir, what do you think has really changed in the industry in these many years, and how is it today, sir? Where does it stand today?
Well, the industry has evolved. Unfortunately, a lot of the good that the industry has kind of been relegated to the background. And the freight forwarding and logistics industry has today become very commoditized and very price conscious. In a country like India, there are very limited entry barriers for anybody to enter the business. So there is mushrooming of competition, which led to a lot of price wars and reduction in the margins that freight forwarders operate with. The freight forwarder essentially is an intermediary. He serves to find the transportation solution between the customer, which is either a shipper or a consignee, and an actual service provider, which is maybe a shipping line or an airline. And the job of the logistician or the freight forwarder was to essentially look at optimizing the transportation solution, choosing the best route at a fairly competitive cost, and provide a solution to the client. Since the business has become very competitive today, margins are no longer present in the business, and unfortunately, we have just turned out to become, financiers to our customers, giving
Right.
extended credit for no value addition that we probably deserve. So
Right.
that's the unfortunate part. The fortunate part, I would say, is there has been a lot of development in terms of the logistics industry. In the last few years, digitization is evolving very rapidly. Businesses switching from a brick and mortar model to a more
Right.
internet based, software based approach to providing service. So physical presence is no longer the criterion for you to be able to service a customer, as long as you have the ability to provide them real time access to information more than the physical cargo movement as such. You can be in business from any part of the world and be operating. So all you need in the local country is basically the sales presence and probably a limited cargo operational presence. So that's the biggest advantage that has happened over a period of time.
Wow, that's nice. So another recent observation or an interesting observation in the recent past is that the industry seems to be getting more organized as such. We were primarily known as an unorganized sector, and slowly we are moving towards an organized sector. So I would like you to throw some light on how do you think this is impacting the job opportunities, and what do you think is the future in terms of human resource requirement while the industry is becoming more organized and moving towards being more organized? So,
See, obviously, there's a lot of regulatory requirements that are now coming in place. You have the MTO Act that came into place in the early 90s. The Custom Brokers Act is
mhm,
already there in place for a long time. And today, the interest of the government to provide better logistic services to enhance Indian exports as well as import is giving an impetus. So today we have, skill development being a very
yes,
conscious and focus area for the government as a whole. So the Logistics Skills Council is also, keenly involved in looking at how to develop quality manpower in all aspects of shipping, whether it's in uh, seafaring or whether it is in
yeah,
land-based marine jobs or whether it is in the freight industry. So definitely there will be the need for a lot of qualified and capable manpower who should come in and be able to provide a very strong and credible solution to clients instead of just being going out and selling price as the factor for them to secure business. See, at the end of the day, the customer hands over his valuable cargo to you
right.
and expects you to take good care. And the more that you can give him the comfort of being knowledgeable about the transportation chain, the modes of transport being used, the deficiencies, strengths, weaknesses of the system, and be able to safeguard the customer's interest, their confidence level in you as a service provider increases exponentially. And that only comes if there is a development of good skill sets in terms of knowledge base as well as information about current trends, happenings in the industry, both in the ocean, air freight, as well as the road transportation sector.
Absolutely, sir. Like you truly said, when we joined for our training, we were told own the supply chain of your customers. And that is when you will be able to give him the service that they are looking for, build that relationship. They were like, concentrate on maintaining relationship and owning their supply chain. Revenues will come in line. So that was one motto that
Absolutely.
yes. So similarly, like you just also let us know that it is important to have a holistic knowledge in the field. And so in line to the same, my next question obviously is, what skill sets do you think are required for anybody who is joining the industry now to be successful?
In my opinion, the most fundamental skill that one needs is knowledge of geography. And that is something which at school level is probably not so serious seriously focused upon. The logistics business is all about moving cargo across the world. So for a logistician to be successful, the knowledge of geography is fundamentally the very basic that they need to know. If a customer calls you and says, I need to move cargo from place A to place B, you must be able to mentally visualize the two locations in your mind and, look at what are probably optimal solutions. So that's why I feel geography is, an absolute must in terms of density. The second is, of course, knowledge about Incoterms, commercial trade transaction processes, banking processes, if there are LCs involved. So these would form the next subset of requirements that people in the industry should be knowledgeable about.
Lovely.
Third, of course, comes communication skills, the ability to present yourself with conviction and be able to communicate across languages with counterparts in different countries. Not everybody speaks good English, so English speaking is a necessary, but it's not a must. There are a lot of people in East Europe or in Asia that are not so fluent in English. So your ability to kind of step down one level from your English speaking skills so that you make yourself understood by them is far more important.
Oh, lovely, sir. I'm sure this will really help our students who will be listening to the interview wherein you're speaking about knowledge of the geography, which is key. Second, how does the trade work in terms of commercial transactions, letter of credit, Incoterms, which are, I think, the base to take forward the transaction between two parties in the trade. And like you said, the third being communication skill, wherein we lay a lot of emphasis on that, because we are playing in a sector where we are going to be communicating from different people from different parts of the world at any point in time. There's a shipment coming from China, a shipment going to Europe, and one common language is English. So thank you for throwing some light on that, sir. And moving forward, the next thing I would really love to know from you is the pandemic. All of us have had an impact in some or the other way, and the past 2 years haven't been easy on any of us. And similarly, I believe the industry also underwent some kind of changes. So, sir, what are the key changes that you feel that the industry has adapted or undergone in the pre and the post-corona period, sir?
I think the pandemic brought about a radical change in the way that we work. So the mindset of the fact that you had to be physically present in an office to be able to offer solution to the customer, I think the myth is broken. So wherever you are, from whichever part of the world you're sitting in, you can still handle shipments for customers across the globe. As long as you have a reasonably decent internet line to be able to connect to and be able to work and communicate with customers as well as with your counterparts and run your company's operating software. So I think that's the biggest learning probably that the industry as a whole underwent, saying that look, the need for you to be physically together in a workplace and then be able to get things done is no longer the norm of the day. A lot of documentation went online. So we had the concepts of EDOs come up. We had the concepts of many shippers switching to seaway bills instead of, insisting on original bills of lading to be issued and negotiated through the bank. So the switch from paper to paperless also happened quite rapidly during the lockdown in the first phase.
Right, sir. Sure. Sir, now I would really love to know what was your motivation to take up entrepreneurship in the industry. The point where I'm coming from is you did have a chance to move out of the country and work for an organization. But after which you came back and you thought you would start again and continue your journey as an entrepreneur, which probably was the norm with your family. So what was that motivation, sir?
Well, 91 was the period when India was undergoing a radical transformation.
Yes.
Right. And Mr. Manmohan Singh was Prime Minister, and he was, starting the era of economic liberalization, the reform process starting. And coincidentally, at that time, I had kind of, reached a glass wall or a saturation point in my career in Singapore. And the next opportunity that I had with my employers at that time was to probably move to Bangladesh as a possible promotion opportunity. So between moving to Bangladesh and coming back to India and restarting my life as an entrepreneur, I thought it made more sense to probably come back home, because I visualized that there'd be great opportunities with the reform process and liberalization happening at that time.
Wow, interesting, sir. And so finally, what is it that you would want to share with us little about your company and your business and the growth plans that you would have, sir?
So, as an organization, we operate in 5 countries across India and the Middle East. We operate 4 offices in India and 4 offices in the Middle East, in Bahrain, Qatar, Oman, and Dubai. Dubai is the latest baby to the family. We opened in June this year and is slowly getting off the ground and kicking. We offer freight forwarding services in some countries. We also offer shipping agency services. We represent a few NVO principals in the Middle East, in Bahrain and Oman. We are very active in the project cargo space. We handle a lot of over-dimension cargo, heavy lifts across the region. One of our key specialities is live events and shows.
Wow.
We are amongst the premier logistics companies that handle a lot of live events across the area. I'm personally very attracted to live events and shows. I had my baptism by fire in '96 handling Michael Jackson's history tour in Mumbai, and subsequently went on to handle a lot of stage and sound equipment for a lot of live events and shows across the world. We were fortunate enough to be awarded a business contract to handle the IPL in 2009 in South Africa. They moved the tournament to South Africa at very short notice, and we managed the movement of their entire sound and stage equipment to Johannesburg, staging it in a warehouse and delivering it to 9 stadiums across the country. So we keep doing these kind of different things that are probably the icing on the cake for us. The regular ocean freight, air freight business is kind of the bread and butter business that keeps running.
Right, sir. So there must be something interesting, do something that nobody has done, and that keeps the business live. That keeps
absolutely.
Alive.
During the pandemic, we moved 2 helicopters from Bahrain to New Zealand, and for the first time ever, the helicopters were moved with their rotor blades intact. Usually helicopters, are moved with rotor blades dismantled. But for the first time, we were, tasked with moving the helis with the rotor blades, and we worked with the carrier and their operations team very closely to make sure that it was properly, loaded, lashed, choked. We had 1 loading in Bahrain, 1 discharge, 1 loading again in Jebel Ali, 1 loading discharge in Singapore, and subsequently discharge in New Zealand and Auckland and delivery to site. So even in the midst of the pandemic, we were able to manage that. So my team, did a great job in, executing it to perfection.
Oh, sir, absolutely. It might just sound easy to bring the whole thing in 2 minutes, but I can imagine the mammoth of a task it must have been to actually achieve it, and during the pandemic, like you said. And I'm sure that our students who would be listening to this interview can actually have a real-time case study and understand where are we as logisticians playing the key role. Sir, finally, you have been one of our greatest support and partners who have hired our students from BSLS. So would you have any message to share for the students, sir?
But we're always open to give youngsters the opportunity to come on board and do an internship. And if they like our organization and our team likes them as well, continue to work with us and grow further in their career. And definitely we will give them an environment where, they have the ability to learn, to absorb, and be able to, show their prowess and their, professionalism, translating what they learned theoretically in BSLS to a more practical environment on the ground when they work for us in any of our offices.
Sure, sir. So, sir, congratulations on your new office. And on behalf of the BSLS team, I wish many, many more feathers on your hat and the organization keeps growing. And once again, thank you so much for taking out time for your very busy schedule and agreeing for this very interesting and interactive session, sir.
Not at
Thank you,
all.
sir.
Thank you very much for inviting me. And I take the opportunity to wish you and everybody at BSLS a wonderful and happy Diwali as well.
Likewise. So we also wish you a very happy Diwali to the entire team, sir. Thank you,
Thank you
sir.
so much.